Hey there, Social Security recipients. Breaking news just in that's going to impact millions of Americans this month. Some of you are about to receive triple payments hitting your accounts, while others are facing serious delays that could push your benefits back by weeks. The Social Security Administration just made this announcement yesterday, and I've got all the urgent details you need to know right now. Are you one of the lucky ones getting those triple payments, or should you be worried about not seeing your money on time? Stay with me for the next few minutes because this affects nearly 70 million Americans, and you need to know exactly what's happening with your benefits. If you're new here, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss these critical updates about your Social Security benefits. I post new information as soon as it breaks, and in times like these, being informed can make all the difference for your financial planning. So let's dive straight into what's happening with May 2025 Social Security payments. The situation is more complex than usual this month due to a perfect storm of administrative changes, technical issues at the SSA, and the calendar itself. First, let's talk about who's getting those triple payments and why this rare occurrence is happening now. Some beneficiaries, specifically those who receive both SSI and SSDI or retirement benefits and meet certain specific criteria, are seeing what appears to be triple payments hit their accounts. But before you get too excited, you need to understand exactly what's happening here. The triple payments aren't actually bonus money, they represent a backlog of adjustments, cost of living increases that were delayed from processing earlier this year, and your regular May payment all hitting at once. The SSA has been struggling with implementing some of the new benefit calculation systems that Congress mandated last year, and they're finally catching up. For those of you who've been wondering why your COLA adjustments didn't seem right over the past few months, this explains it. The system is finally correcting itself, which is why some of you are seeing what looks like 3 separate deposits. But who exactly qualifies for these multiple payments? You're likely in this group if you receive both SSI and another form of Social Security benefit, if your birthday falls between the 11th and 20th of the month, or if you started receiving benefits after January 2024. The SSA is processing these accounts first to address the most severely impacted beneficiaries. Have you checked your bank account or Direct Express card today? If you're in one of these categories, you might want to take a look, as most of these payments began processing yesterday. Now, the concerning news for many others, and this is important, significant delays are affecting about 30% of all Social Security recipients this month. The SSA's payment processing system experienced what they're calling a critical infrastructure failure last week that has created a domino effect of delays. If your birthday falls on the 21st through the end of the month, you're most likely to be affected. Instead of receiving your payment on your regularly scheduled date, you might see delays of up to 10 business days. For some of you, that pushes your expected payment into early June, which I know is extremely concerning if you're counting on that money for immediate expenses. Why is this happening now? The SSA has been transparent about the cause. They're in the middle of a major system overhaul, replacing infrastructure that in some cases dates back to the 1980s. While these upgrades will eventually make the system more reliable, the transition period is causing these disruptions. The agency has promised that all delayed payments will include interest compensation calculated at the federal rate. But that doesn't help much if you have bills due now, does it? For those facing delays, what can you do? First, don't panic and flood the SSA phone lines, they're already overwhelmed. Instead, the SSA has set up a special online portal specifically for checking on delayed May payments. You'll need your Social Security number and the last 8 digits of your Direct Express card or bank account number to access this information. I'll put that link in the description below. They've also extended hours at all field offices through the end of May to help address these issues in person if necessary. Let's talk about what these changes mean for different benefit categories. For retirement beneficiaries, the average delay is expected to be about 5 business days. For disability recipients, it's slightly longer at 6 to 7 business days. SSI recipients who don't also receive other benefits should have already received their May payments on the 1st as usual. So if you haven't, you should contact the SSA immediately as that indicates a different problem. Now, some good news in all of this, the SSA has implemented emergency provisions for those experiencing severe hardship due to these delays. If you are at risk of eviction, utility disconnection, or inability to purchase essential medications due to these payment delays, you qualify for an emergency payment that can be processed within 24 hours. To access this, you'll need to call the special hardship line or visit a field office with documentation of your hardship. This is a genuine emergency provision, not just for convenience. so please only use this option if you're truly in a difficult situation. What about future months? Will we see similar problems? The SSA has assured beneficiaries that the May issues are anomalous and that June payments should proceed normally. They've paused further system upgrades until July to ensure stability in the payment system over the next 2 months. But honestly, given what we've seen with government technology upgrades in the past, I'd recommend preparing for possible irregularities through the summer. Have you thought about setting aside a small emergency fund if possible, just to weather any potential future disruptions? Another important detail that's not getting much attention: these system changes are also affecting how quickly new applications and appeals are being processed. If you've recently applied for benefits or filed an appeal, you might experience longer than usual wait times for decisions. The SSA is currently prioritizing getting payments out to existing beneficiaries over processing new claims. They estimate that new applications submitted now may take an additional 4 to 6 weeks beyond the usual processing time. That's frustrating news for those waiting on initial decisions, but the agency is at least being upfront about the delays. I've been getting a lot of questions about how these changes affect the Medicare premium deductions from Social Security payments. Here's what you need to know: if your Social Security payment is delayed, your Medicare coverage is not affected. The SSA and Medicare have coordinated to ensure continuous coverage regardless of payment timing. However, if you pay your Medicare premium separately rather than having them deducted from Social Security, make sure you're still making those payments on time to avoid any coverage issues. For those of you receiving the apparent triple payments, I want to emphasize again, carefully review these deposits before spending them. In some cases, the SSA may be correcting previous underpayments, which means you're entitled to all funds received. In other situations, particularly for newer beneficiaries, the system may have erroneously sent duplicate payments, which would eventually need to be returned. How can you tell the difference? Look closely at the payment descriptions in your bank account or on your Direct Express card statement. True adjustment payments will contain specific codes that identify them as such. If you're unsure, it's worth calling to verify before spending the money, as repayment can be challenging on a fixed income. What's your situation? Have you seen unusual deposits or delays with your May Social Security payment? Share in the comments below. Your experience might help others in similar situations understand what to expect. For those of you receiving SSI and the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program (SNAP), there's another layer to be aware of. Changes in your SSI payment timing or amounts can sometimes trigger automatic reviews of your SNAP benefits. If you receive an unusually large payment due to these SSA adjustments, make sure to document that these are back payments or corrections, not increases to your regular monthly benefit. This can prevent unnecessary reductions in your food assistance during this already complicated time. Looking ahead, the SSA has announced plans for a more comprehensive communication strategy about these payment issues. Starting next week, they'll be sending direct notices to all beneficiaries explaining the situation with your specific payment and what to expect. These notices will arrive by mail for most recipients, but if you've opted into digital communications, check your My Social Security account online for this important information. I want to address another question many of you have been asking: will these payment delays affect the mid-year COLA adjustment that's supposed to be announced next month? The SSA has confirmed that despite these technical issues, the COLA calculation process is proceeding normally. The preliminary adjustment figures should still be announced in June as scheduled, with implementation still planned for July. The payment processing issues appear to be separate from the benefit calculation systems. Before I wrap up, let me share some perspective on what this situation reveals about our Social Security system. These payment disruptions highlight the critical need for infrastructure investment in the systems that millions of Americans depend on. The SSA is operating with technology that in some cases is decades old, processing payments for nearly a quarter of the U.S. population. The current modernization effort is long overdue but clearly creating short-term pain for many beneficiaries. How do you feel about this trade-off between necessary upgrades and payment reliability? Should the government have approached this differently?